All right, guys, welcome back to the Rodman Rundown, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. We've got a new channel member. Want to say a quick thank you to real quick. That is Greg Holcomb with a Tier 1 membership. Greg, I'm glad you enjoy the videos. Thank you so much for your channel membership. Really appreciate that. And wanted to say real quick, if you ordered a sticker or one of the wing panels, we have shipped those out. They are in the mail. So if you ordered one of these, they are going to be coming to your door here very soon. So thank you all for ordering the wing panels or the stickers. Appreciate that as well. Now let's jump into today's video. All right, so season in review time for Tanner Thorson and how he did this year with Kubota High-Limit Racing. At the beginning of the year when Tanner Thorson signed on, a lot of people were pretty shocked. They were pretty off guard or caught off guard when he announced that he was going to be joining the tour full-time with Rod Gross Motorsports, a brand new team, and they didn't have any of the tools necessary really to have a full-time team until a few weeks before the season even began. And so I feel like you kind of have to take that into account when you look at the numbers, when you look at how his overall season went. This team is brand new and they barely got everything ready in time for him to make it to East Bay Raceway Park for the very first race of the year, right? So I think Tanner Thorson had a fantastic season for all the things, considering that, you know, the new team, first time national tour, you know, first time with him really jumping, you know, head first into the Wing 410 sprint car deal. So this is a pretty good year for Thorson. And today we're going to look at these numbers here. So 44 starts, which should be more. He did miss out on a couple of races when his baby was born during the Port Royal Tuscarora 50 weekend. So 44 starts. He did get one win, although that was a prelim night win. It was not the full field of cars. That happened during the Gold Cup Race of Champions at Silver Dollar Speedway. 5 top 5s, 16 top 10s, and 11 laps led on the year for the overall stats for Tanner Thorson there. He did finish 11th in the overall Owners' Championship point standings. When it came to the driver's points, he was 13th overall, but with the fill-in, the sub-in for Cy Lynch, that did allow Tanner Thorson to stay up there and get close to the 10th spot in points. He was 8th in the overall Midweek Money Series point standings as well. And for the money earned, he actually did really well for the first time. This is only with High-Limit Racing. $100,204 in race earnings for Thorson and $35,000 going to him for the points fund, finishing in the 11th points 11th points position, excuse me. So $135,000 total he's made with High Limit this year. And he truly was a full-time high roller. I think he ran like 2, maybe 3 races outside of the series. Knoxville Nationals was one of them. And I want to say he ran a race in Oklahoma with the Outlaws. And I feel like that was about it for Tanner Thorson. He was strictly a high-limit guy this year. His points ahead of Zeb Wise in 12th. He was 59 points ahead of Zeb. And he was 55 points behind Corey Eliason for 10th in points. Interestingly enough, he was sandwiched between two guys that no longer have those rides anymore there for Zeb and for Corey. And so that does mean that Corey Eliason will be the next driver we look at in the season in review videos. Tanner Thorson needed 5 out of the 6 allotted provisionals this year with High Limit. So 3 of them during the midweek, or 3 of them during the regular season, 1 for midweek money, and 2 for the final 2 races at Texas. He needed all but 1 of those. And he did have 8 DNFs on the year. So the DNFs were definitely an issue this year for Tanner Thorson. And it's honestly not a surprise because, I mean, this is a brand new operation. I mean, they've got all new stuff. They're trying to figure it out. A lot of the times it was Tanner Thorson and Brenton Marvel. It's 2 guys going up and down the road. They did have one guy start the year out with him. Then he left, and then they brought somebody else in for a couple of races. He would have Lee Lindgren there very rarely as the crew chief on the car. But most of the time, it was Tanner Thorson, the driver and the crew chief, and Brenton Marvel was the car chief. And sometimes when, you know, it's a new team, it's 2 young guys, and they're going up and down the road, and it's late nights and all the stuff, right? Things will get missed. And I feel like a lot of the DNFs, it wasn't from Tanner Thorson crashing out by himself, right? It was a lot of mechanical failures, which you would have to think that next year, if they can get another crew guy and all that stuff and just have a year under their belts, that number will go down significantly. I truly think that is the case for them. His best finish, that win does not count because, like I said, it was a split prelim night. He was second at Riverside International Speedway during the Midweek Money Series, where that was during race number 10 of the year. He also had another podium run. That was during the very first race of the season at East Bay. His SprintCarRatings.com deal, it says it's 49th best driver this year in 2024. And that number right now is 49th, but with the World Finals going on this weekend, he could certainly get shuffled around in there and maybe get bumped down a little bit. But for right now, they've got him at 49th according to their formula. My prediction for Tanner Thorson at the beginning of the season was pretty spot on. I had him down for 1 win, check. 5 to 8 top 5s, check. 15 to 20 top 10s, check. And then I had him for 12th to 14th in points. And so if you took the driver's points, I would be right because he was 13th there. But the owner's points, he was 11th. So I was just a tick off on that one. He did meet expectations in that department. So pretty spot on there with the prediction. That might be the first one of the entire series that I've actually gotten correct. His best stretch of races was during races 19 through 29. He had 7 top 10 finishes in that 9 to 10 race stretch there. And his worst stretch of races, at least in my opinion, races 11 to 18, he only had 1 top 10. He had 3 top 15s. The rest of those races, he either missed the show or was outside of the top 15. And you'll see here in a moment that the second half of the season was pretty brutal for this team, especially when it comes to the DNF category, which we will look at more here in just a moment as we switch the boards over here and get into the more in-depth numbers and how they ranked up against the rest of the drivers that ran high limit this year. So his average finish was 13.3, and usually that will correlate to where he's at in the point standings, right? So he was 11th best in the average finish department. He was 11th in points. Average start for him, 15.4. That is 13th best with the 16 drivers. And average qualifying of 12.1, 14th best for Tanner Thorson. We know that that car qualifying was not it. It just did not work for Tanner Thorson when it came to qualifying this year. But I have been texting him here a little bit recently. I heard he just got a new motor from Casey Kane Racing, a Capetta engine he bought from them. So maybe that'll help next year. And maybe he'll get a little bit better when it comes to qualifying. Dash appearances, he was in 5 out of a possible 38 dashes this year, which was tied for 14th best with one other driver. He had no dash wins, which was tied for 12th with 5 other drivers. He did have 4 hard chargers. Tanner Thorson, if there was a bottom on the track that was actually good and you could make speed down there, you knew that Thorson was going to be making his way towards the front. He was so good on the bottom. And towards the end of the year, he was able to run just about anywhere on the racetrack. But especially at the beginning of the year, he was super, super good on the inside of the track. And 4 hard chargers would show that. Quick times, as you can imagine, he did not have any, which was tied for 14th, obviously the worst, with 3 other drivers. Quick times, Tanner Thorson would be doing a backflip if he did a quick time, right? That it just wasn't in the cards this year. Quick times and qualifying was not a strong suit for this team. B main event appearances, he had 14 of those, which is actually not bad because he was 9th. We had the 9th least amount, right? So there were 7 other drivers that had more B main appearances than him. Average redraw wheel, whenever he was at the redraw, which was 5 times, he had an average spin of 15 on the number, which was tied for 5th best. He had 5 other guys that were tied with him there, so not too bad when it comes to getting a low number there on the redraw wheel. As far as heat race wins go, he had 3 of those. That's tied for 14th with one other driver. Top 5 efficiency, which means that if he started in the top 5, he would also finish inside the top 5. Not very often that happened for Thorson. 42% of the time, he had 7 top 5 starts. Only 3 times he would stay in the top 5. That is tied for 10th best with one other driver. His top 10 efficiency was a little bit better. He had 10 top 10 starts, 5 top 10 finishes. That is 50% of the time. That is 14th best with the series this year. Plus minus, this is where Tanner Thorson really excelled. We already talked about 4 hard chargers. He had the 3rd best plus minus with the series this year at plus 93 positions. So he passed 93 cars during feature action this year. In races where he had a positive plus minus, meaning he started or he finished ahead of where he started at, he had 32 races this year where he started or he finished better than where he started, which was also tied for 3rd best with 3 other drivers. So when it comes to passing cars, Thorson has no issue doing that. And we saw that all year long. His average finish from the first half of the year to the second half of the year, it went down. First 24 races, he had a 12.6 average finish. The second half, he had a 14.5. So, I don't know. A lot of the DNFs came at the second half of the season. You think about the one at Skagit where he was running second. The lap car crashed into him. Lucas Oil Speedway, he's running second, blows an engine. I'm trying to think of other ones because there was definitely a couple of them where There was things that were just out of his control. Oh, a Gold Cup Race of Champions where he was running second, I think, or third maybe, and the car broke and he smoked the outside wall on the front stretch. I mean, there was just a bunch of issues that were out of his control, which definitely hurt him in the average finish overall and in the second half of the year. His average pill draw was 33, which was tied with 5 other drivers for 10th best overall with the series. So not very good on the pill draw table for Tanner Thorson. Normally, it looks like on the average, he would get about a 33, which is relatively high when there's, 75? I think there's 75 pills total, or not 75, is it 50? I can't remember what the total number is, but it's not good. I will tell you that. 33 is not where you want to be at. Now, let's listen to the community and hear what they have to say about Tanner Thorson's season. We put up a community tab where people can vote and give him a report card or a grade on the year. 420 votes. So if you like to indulge in a little bit of Mary Jane, blaze it up, man. 420 votes. So I don't know what that means, but yeah, if you like that, then there you go. A for him was a 5% of the vote for the people that actually put in their ballot there. 56% of the vote went to B. A C grade for him for 34%, and then D to F was 5% of the people said that they just did not think Tanner Thorson had a good year at all. 5% of people thought he had an incredible year. I would go with a B minus. If he had 4 less DNFs, if he didn't have all the mechanical problems and all the stupid things happening, I think he would have had way more good finishes, way more top 5s and top 10s, maybe would have won some more races. I mean, honestly, but he just could not get out of his, they couldn't get out of their own way, right? I mean, they were just having all kinds of problems with the car. But like I said, I think having a second year on the road is going to do wonders for this team and the future plans for them. He will be back in 2025 as a high roller, and you love to see that because I think that Tanner Thorson, once they get the qualifying down, once they get the car, in a spot where it's not, having issues, every other race or whatever it is, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, I honestly and truly believe that. Tanner Thorson is a driver that I think is very underrated, and he showed this year that he can win at the highest of levels and compete as well. I also added this as well. We got a couple of guys that commented on that community tab and gave their thoughts. Muffin Knight 8101 said, Tanner really impressed me this season. Hopefully he can build on it into next year. And then from Cole Esterly, a good base for the future of his winged national career. I 100% agree with that as well. It was definitely a good place to start. And we know, as we mentioned already, he's going to be back next year. We've got 61 races for him to try and get a win. And I think truly that he will get a win that is not a split prelim night next year. He was good at a lot of tracks, especially the 3/8 and smaller tracks. That is right up his alley. So looking forward to seeing what Tanner Thorson can do. Now, I would like to take a few moments to thank our channel members. Now, I wanted to end the video off by every time we get a new channel member, I want to say thank you to the other channel members. You guys are awesome. Blake Dowell, Racing Vagabond. They've been around for 6 months or more. Got Easy Does It, Skyke, Skaloner. We've also got Brent Baer, Bill Gillis, and Caleb Johnson. Those guys have been around for 2 months. Our 1-monthers, Christopher Thacker, Jay Strasser, Ed Minus, Ryan Farnsley, John O'Neill, DeReal Snipey 47A, Matt Parsons, Ryan Showalter, and then our newest members, Brad Reynolds, Jay Hotlaps, Kurt Brooks, Bill Cinnamon, Nate Trewin, and Cedric Ritchie Racing, along with Greg Holcomb. So thank you all so very much. We'll talk to you again here very soon.